Hey everybody, how are you doing? Hope you're having a great day. I know across all of the middle school classes we've been working on reading and analyzing poetry, and it's going to come the time when you're going to have to write some poetry. So I just wanted to do a little demonstration for you of how you would go about writing poetry. So if you don't know me, my name is Ms. Brezick. I'm a teacher in District 100 at Heritage Middle School, and it's so good to connect with you. So our learning objective for today is, today I'm going to teach you some set of steps to follow if you really don't know how to get started with poetry. This is by no means the only way to write poetry. There are so many ways that you can do it. These are just some things, some motions that I kind of take when I'm trying to come up with poetry. So let me share my screen. And all right, so here's where we're going to do a little bit of work. So the first thing, when you're going to write poetry, the first step is you have to pick a topic that you care about or that means something to you. So, your teachers might give you some topic to write within, but think about how you could personalize that topic, even within a topic, to make it about the part of the thing that you care about. And, sometimes you might have totally free choice, in which case, when you have free choice, then, think about the things that you're really, really passionate about, or something that's like been hard for you or bothering you, or something you love so much. If you have really strong emotional feelings towards something, that's typically going to lead to some really great poetry. So for the sake of this example, I decided to write about quarantine. Obviously, I wouldn't say I particularly love this, but it is causing some emotional reactions and feelings towards me that kind of vary day to day. So that's kind of the topic that I'm going to brainstorm with. So the second thing that you can do to get started, even before you write in poetry form, is you can do some journaling. And I would say 2+ pages. You should do some journaling because, and here is kind of where I like to do my work on paper. So I have a lot of different notebooks. My preference is to not go to technology until I kind of have my ideas sorted out. But when you do some journaling, what's great about it is, I don't know if you know this, but a lot of times people aren't even aware of the ideas in their subconscious until they really start thinking about them. And even if you're silently thinking about it and not speaking it, you can't get to as many ideas as if you write them down. So, I was just writing in my journal, I wrote 2 pages. And it was kind of a mixture. With journaling, what's cool about it is you don't have to worry about the critic. There is no one telling you, or if your mind is saying, that's spelled wrong, ignore it. That's not good enough, ignore it. You could do better, ignore it. This idea is stupid or silly, ignore it. When you journal, and when you're in the rehearsal phase of writing, all of that critical stuff, you want to just push that off to the side and let everything come out on the paper, because what I have here, these 2 pages are not my poem. And I get to choose which parts of what I wrote make it to the poem. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to journal. Now, if you're following along with this video and then you're going to work on writing your poem, you might want to pause it and do some journaling and then come back when you're ready for step 3. So step 3, the next idea that I have for you is to reread your journal and underline words and phrases you like. Okay, so, I wrote in blue pen, so I want to pick a color that stands out a little bit. So I have this red or orange marker. And I'm just, give me a second here. Okay, so I just underlined stuck here at home. Emergency contact person. I really like that, emergency contact. Okay, I'm talking about doing YouTube videos and how my favorite parts are when I get a little silly. So I underlined get a little silly. Okay, can't go out to eat. You know, this is, I am missing sitting down for meals with friends. Okay, so I'm not gonna go and do all of this. I don't wanna take up too much of your time, but the next thing you should do is reread your journal and underline parts that are like jumping off to you. Or if that part is giving you another idea, then go off and, and go off and write some more about that, okay? So the whole point here, the purpose of the reread is to look for, maybe let me add some more info. Look for parts you like, parts or words, and then you could write more about those parts. Again, you see, we're not writing poetry. Like when you think of poetry and how it looks with all the white space on the page, we haven't even gotten there yet, okay? Because we're just getting ideas, rehearsal, brainstorming. The next thing that I want you to do is a strategy called 3x3s. Oops. Oops. Okay, so write a list of 3x3s about your topic. So, and also, if you want your topic to have a particular tone, like if you want it to lean more positive, you need to be mindful of that. My journal was all over the place. I had positive and I had negative stuff separately, right? It was all mixed up. So when I did my 3x3s, again, remember I'm writing about quarantine. A 3x3 is just 3 words. Create cool stuff. Obviously, I'm thinking of a YouTube video as one example. Sleep in late. I have been able to, this is positive, I've been able to sleep much later than I would if I were going to school. I've been cooking new recipes, so that's like another positive tone. Now, on the other hand, if I was having like a really down day, you guys, I have been eating too much. I could tell like I don't feel well, like this is negative. I'm sad some days. There are definitely some days when I'm not happy and I miss my friends. These are just samples of 3x3s, and then in my notebook you can see that I had started some 3x3s, and some of the things that I underlined here turned into 3x3s. The whole idea here is you're looking for little chunks of words that could be formed into a poem. Okay, so if you're working on this as you go, you might want to pause right now and write some 3x3s on a list. Now, there's not, a minimum and a maximum, but the more that you write, same thing with the journal. If you wrote 4 pages of journal, you'd probably get to more ideas that are buried in your mind and your heart. If you wrote 10 of each 3x3s, you're going to have many more ideas to work with, because when you go to write your poem, you get to choose what makes it into your poem and what doesn't. Okay, so then you're going to, next you're going to just attempt a first draft. Oops, a first draft of your poem. Notice, I haven't even talked about figurative language. I haven't talked about imagery. I haven't talked about any of that stuff. Before you get to that stuff that really makes poetry come alive, you have to put something down on paper. And even if you're writing and you're like, oh, this stinks, it's better to have something that you don't really love, because you can mold it into something better later than to stare at a blank page. So you're going to attempt a first draft of your poem, and you're going to remember, actually, you're going to remember poetry has white space. So remember all of the, let me find a poem in here really quick. Like, look at all of the white space that's off to the side. You're going to write with white space in mind. You are going to remember poetry structure. And then you're going to just remember silence the critic. If you're writing and you think, oh, this is bad, I don't like it, it's not good, that doesn't matter. Just write something down and one other thing. Put a blank line when you want to hold space for an idea that you don't have yet. Okay, so you're just going to write with a blank space. So here is what I came up with so far. I don't know why I just thought of quarantine vibes as a topic. And then look at the structure that I created. I have one line and then 4, and then one line and 4, and one line, and I started the next part. I just haven't finished. Also, I was thinking about my tone because my one lines are positive. My other 4 are negative. One line is positive, other 4 are negative. Same thing here. And then these 4, this little stanza of 4, I tried to keep it around the same topic. So this is what I have so far. Again, this is just the first draft. I don't love it. Same thing. Teachers go through the same process that you do. Okay, so quarantine vibes. Safe here at home, but no more brunch, eating too much, no meal routines, eating all alone. Sleeping in late, but miss my HMS friends, no kids and funny jokes, tossing and turning all night, no hallway smiles. Thankful for my emergency BFF, but can't meet others for a walk, and that's kind of where I ended. So you can see that I did have kind of some structure where I had this positive thing, I'm safe here at home, but then I talked about all of the negative stuff related to food here. So there was some system to this. And then here I talked about how it was cool that I got to sleep in, but I talked about all of the things that I was missing from Heritage. And listen to these 4 lines. Miss my HMS friends, no kids and funny jokes, tossing and turning all night, and no hallway smiles. Even tossing and turning at night, I'm rereading it, doesn't really fit. It goes with sleeping, but all the others were about things at school. So the last part right now is that you need to, for this first video, I'm gonna come back with a second one. You need, after you have a first draft, you need to take a break from your poem, including a night's sleep. So I'm gonna go and finish my first draft, and then I'm gonna just put it aside and put it away so that tomorrow I can come back to it and have fresh eyes on it, and it can feel all new again. So that's kind of what I wanted to share about how to write poetry today. The biggest piece of advice when you're journaling, when you're writing 3x3s, when you're writing a first draft, silence the critic in your head that is telling you it's not good enough. It is great. A first draft is amazing, no matter how it looks, no matter how it turns out. Because if you think of a first draft of poem like Play-Doh, you make something with clay or Play-Doh, but then you can remold it and reshape it and make it better as you go. So I hope this was a helpful way to think about starting to write poetry. Keep in mind, if you're thinking about a tone, whether you're positive or negative, as you're drafting, you're gonna wanna, not as you're drafting, as you're doing brainstorming and rehearsal, you're gonna wanna keep the positive tone in mind or the negative tone in mind. So you can collect ideas that will go with that tone. I think that's where I'm gonna end for today. And know that I will be back tomorrow and I'll pick up right here, and then we'll work on revising that first draft and go ahead and put in some things that will enhance it, like words to move to imagery, like figurative language, like allusion, all of the poetic language, that academic language you've been learning, we're gonna work on infusing that tomorrow. I can't wait to read some of the things that you're writing, and I hope you guys have a great day. Talk to you soon, bye.